across the pond where the elites have struck back.
The claimants argue that as a result of leaving the EU, UK law will change and legal rights enjoyed by UK residents will be lost. Accordingly, they say, the government cannot trigger Article 50 unless authorised by Parliament.
The UK High Court today crushing the will of the people and the victory for the British elite. The court is forcing a parliamentary vote before Britain can negotiate their exit from the European Union. For months, the tea-sipping, crumpet-snacking class have begrudgingly watched the Brexit revolution, and they really have pushed back on the idea of ordinary folks taking back their country. So the big question now is, will this High Court ruling actually bolster the movement, or could this be a crushing blow? Joining me to discuss, Nigel Farage and Niall Gardner, two of the very best on this one. Nigel, let me start with you. The judge there saying that all 8 who voted for the judgment participated in writing the statement, and they referred to Section 2 of the 1972 Act, which essentially says that EU law supersedes UK law.
Well, that's absolutely right. And, of course, actually, we've been lied to for nearly 50 years by a political class in Westminster who never made it clear when we joined that we were signing up to a higher legal authority. They just told us, oh, don't worry, your little heads, it's just about trade. Now, clearly, it was a split decision. There were 8 judges went one way and 3 judges went another. But I'll tell you what the real point is. This government sent a booklet to every house in the country in the run-up to the referendum, and they said, this is your decision, and we will stand by the result. And what this judgment does is it takes the decision away from the people and hands it back to the very political class that signed us up to this in the first place.
So Niall, let me ask, how bad of a setback is this? What is the mood right now with respect to Parliament? Because, again, this is a grassroots movement to me that seems to maybe has become more popular, certainly around the world, since it was voted on.
Yes, absolutely. This is an attempt by, the Remain camp to derail the popular will of the British people. And I think that this is really a speed bump. It's not going to derail Brexit. I do believe that Parliament is going to approve the legislation that will be introduced very, very shortly in London. And let's not forget, a clear majority of the British people voted for Brexit. There was a 72% turnout, a huge turnout for the referendum on June 23rd last year. And the will of the British people is that Britain must leave the European Union, a huge supranational entity that suppresses the sovereignty of the British people. So I don't think that this Supreme Court decision is going to actually derail the Brexit process, but it has given ammunition to those who believe that the ruling elites can overrule the will of the people. I don't think that's going to happen, though, in this case, and I do think the will of the British people will prevail, and that 2 years from now, Great Britain will once again be a free nation.
Nigel, does this mitigate or lessen Theresa May's ability to get the best deal possible with her European counterparts? Because she came out very strong and very, very forceful about wanting to be a peaceful, business-like neighbor, but drawing the line at certain things and that her European counterparts have insisted upon.
Well, actually, had Theresa May been a bit more decisive and triggered this Article 50 mechanism by which we leave the EU last summer, we wouldn't have had to wait for this court judgment today. Honestly, one of the key components of this European renegotiation is going to happen in the Oval Office on Friday, and it is Britain's ability to strike out and make trade deals with equal partners around the world. And I'm guessing that the Trump team will be looking at this news today and be slightly concerned. I agree with Niall. I don't think that Parliament are going to try or succeed in stopping Brexit in its current form, but there is a risk. So I just want Mrs May to be as positive as possible when she comes to the USA on Friday, to make it absolutely clear that we're two countries that won't undercut each other. We've got similar standards in many ways. And the more we go global, the more our European partners will say, goodness me, we sell them more, far more than they sell to us. Perhaps we had better do a grown-up deal as well.
Right. She underscored that fact, and your point is taken that she was against Brexit, and of course now she's trying to champion it. Now let's talk about Europe itself. Brexit, many people say, helped to birth, if you will, the Trump revolution here in America. Certainly the same moods and attitudes are being felt. Now you've got France, where Le Pen is taking the lead in most polls. You've got Finland, which is going to vote. It looks like the formerly called True Finn Party will win there. How are you feeling about this sort of grassroots Western movement to take back sovereignty from this sort of one world idea that has clearly failed?
Well, I think the winds of change are certainly blowing across Europe, and opposition to the European Union certainly takes many different forms. But overall, the broader momentum towards retaking sovereignty, restoring freedom and democratic accountability, this is an immensely powerful force that simply cannot be defeated. And it's important, I believe, that the new U.S. administration, the Trump administration, support sovereignty and self-determination in Europe. For far too long, U.S. administrations have backed the European project, the idea of ever closer union in Europe. It's time for the U.S. government, the White House, to support the very principles that the American people hold so dear in their hearts, the principles of sovereignty, freedom, liberty. These are very powerful forces, and the European Union has been suppressing those very forces for far too long.
Well, I think you've got a big ally in this particular White House. Gentlemen, thank you both very much. Appreciate it. Bye.